off, but also we'll be passing that mic around to get to as many media as possible. All right, we'll start out with you, Hayden. This is another dominant day, so this is exactly the place you want to be in and having the momentum going into the off weekend. So just talk about your mindset going into that break.
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely nice to have a little weekend off, go practice some sand in North Carolina, do the same thing I did last year. So, yeah, it should be good. Go on the lake a little, too. It should be nice.
As you should, of course, and we're going to Southwick next into the stands. So we'll go ahead and open it up to questions from the media.
Kellen Brower with Swap Moto Live. Tom, I'll go to you on this one. For you, it's not been maybe the start of the year that you wanted. It's kind of been quiet, but today was a lot better. Can you kind of take us through the adaptation that you've had in the last few weeks to maybe come around on the bike and yourself a little bit to get to this point?
Yeah, today was a lot better. Angton was the first moto I had a crash, and I kind of hurt my elbow pretty bad. So I got lucky to race and finish the second moto, kind of save a little bit of points. And last weekend I struggled all day with the bike. The power and elevation was bad. Kind of weird because the year before I was feeling a lot better. But yeah, just a big struggle, and then walk a lot this week, ride kind of almost every day to get the bike ready, and today was a lot better. So we're going to try to turn it a little bit around for myself, feeling a little bit better. Start was good today, so that's going to help me for the next races.
Mitch Kendra.
Mitch Kendra, Racer X. Tom, we'll stick with you. Obviously, I'm sure you want to be fighting for the race wins. Heading into a track like Southwick, where you've won in the past, maybe you'd feel a little bit better there. Does that kind of have you any confidence, like heading into that race, or do you still, like obviously Hayden's been the best guy so far, but heading into Southwick, does that kind of give you confidence?
Yeah, like I said, my last two races has been bad in terms of results. So today I was trying to build, getting back on the podium. My plan was not to win. Hayden is riding fast, so I'm trying to build a little bit my speed and my riding. So today was the goal was to be on the podium on the box, and I think it's a track, Southwick. I feel comfortable. Last year was tight. I feel comfortable, so hopefully that can help me to fight maybe for the win that race. Feel good. The last two years I've been there. The track is fun. It's a tough one too. Kind of a little bit sketchy, but normally it should be good for me.
Taryn Robinson with MX Sports. Levi, you snatched that podium spot literally in the final moments. Did you know that overall podium was on the line in that moment, or were you simply trying to make up every spot possible? Take us through that.
No, I didn't know where I was at. I actually thought I was going to be off the podium for sure because I rode pretty bad the second moto. So, grateful to get another podium, but definitely wasn't the second moto that I wanted. I guess the positives were I think I've gotten 10th here as my best finish here, so I've always struggled with this place. So today was better, but I've always liked Southwick. It's going to be nice to get a little weekend off and then go into that race.
Hey, Michael Antonovich with Course Heading. This will be for Hayden. Could you take us through the first lap and then the opening laps of Moto 2? Really good decisive move that got you into the lead there. But then as you guys came down those downhill rollers, really tight pack, and then Chance being close to you like he was. What was it like for you to do those laps, kind of set the pace when you did, and then knowing he was there and then breaking away as the race progressed?
Yeah, I was like, no way I'm in the lead right now. I went from like 6th to 1st within 2 turns. I was like, oh, sweet, okay. I got in the lead, and I had a rider right behind me, Chance, and I was like, obviously the ride's pretty good, so I was like, I just got to send it for a few laps, and got my gap, and then I'm pretty sure I got it up to like 10 seconds at one point, so once I got it around that bubble, I just kind of held it, and yeah.
Trey Steyer, no affiliation. My question is for Hayden. You crossed another track off the list today that you've won at in the 250 motocross class, and also to win on Father's Day weekend after all the support your dad has given you over the years. What does it mean to be able to bring home a trophy to him and to honor him this weekend?
Yeah, definitely. My dad's done a lot for me. Growing up, he's always been there. And on Father's Day, it's always cool to win, especially by that much, too. So, yeah, Father's Day had to put out for sure, and especially all the stuff he's done for me as a kid and growing up. So had to give him a nice trophy.
Ryder Yeckley, Racer X. This question's for all three of you guys. Since we're going into an off weekend and then Southwick, which is arguably the most physically demanding track in one of the hottest. How are you guys going to prepare differently going into this next round?
Probably go on the lake and then maybe go rent out a boat on the beach.
Yeah, I'm probably going to go fishing and go to the beach as well. Just chill.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep on training this week, and obviously have a weekend off, a little bit time off. But my goal is to keep on training those 2 weeks.
Mitch again, we'll go to Hayden with this one. I feel like the last couple weeks you've kind of been like more methodical early in the races, and you were maybe like 6th or 7th or 4th or 5th or something like that, and a couple laps in you'd kind of make those passes into the lead. This one, I feel like it came so much quicker. Was that an approach, or was it just happen to be up there earlier and just like able to get the race win a little bit easier this weekend because of that?
I just feel like last year I was going fast, but it was like a point where I was on the edge. And I feel like this year in this off season I made like huge gains on my speed, where now I can run a crazy speed comfortable. And so now I literally just kind of take my time. I rather be smart with it, and that speed's more natural to me now, where I make less mistakes and I get to the lead, where last year I feel like I was kind of at that pace riding over my head a little. I'd get it done, but mistakes would happen, where I feel like this year I've cleaned that up a little bit.
And then a quick follow-up with that. You raced the Loretta Lynn's Regional here a couple years ago, I think, had a pretty good weekend. 2 years ago, like, did you think you'd be where you are in this situation, already have a championship, Supercross championship, looking to defend another plate here, number one plate? Like, I feel like it's come so quickly. Do you think about that at all? Do you reflect on that? Like, obviously you think about championship, but do you reflect on things as it happens too?
Yeah, it definitely is crazy, especially, how quick it I've got to be careful what I say, I get clipped, but how quick it's happened. Definitely, I'm only 19, so to have obviously 4 championships on a 250, and now this many moto wins in a row, not in a row, but this many moto wins this season, it's pretty wild to think. I was racing amateurs here a little over 2 years ago, so it's definitely cool. Hard work and having some pretty gnarly talent on a dirt bike gets you far.
Taryn here again with MX Sports. Tom, you looked especially strong in certain sections here at High Point, with the track conditions being very similar to some of those in the European GP. Did this track feel more at home to you because of that, or how exactly did you feel in comparison to the U.S. tracks here?
Yeah, I've heard that every time I come here. I have no idea which track in Europe is same as here. Like, I don't know why everyone is saying that, because we don't have any track like this type. It's really wild. Track in Europe are a lot more tight. There's pretty much one line, and here it's just ruts and lines everywhere. So I don't remember one track with kind of the same as here. So it's pretty funny that a lot of people say that. But no, I've been struggling a little bit the last 2 years here, so it's nice to be on the podium today.
Levi, question for you. So as walking around the facility today, I've seen at least it's been 3 to 4 people that I've seen who have exactly mimicked your hairstyle this year. I don't know if you've seen any of that. Maybe this is new information, but what do you do with that? That's pretty cool to see the fan response.
Yeah, no, it's definitely cool to see people kind of, just do something and not really care what other people think. That's kind of the goal behind it, I guess. But I'm probably going to have to stop doing it because I'm starting to lose my hair. So, yeah, it is cool to see the kids. I just like seeing the kids do something different. But, yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll keep it going. I'll probably do something for Red, but I have to. And then, I don't know.
Well, more on the performance today, Levi. I believe you told one of our broadcast correspondents today, working on the race intensity, specifically early on. So how are you feeling about the intensity that you brought today, especially early on?
Still wasn't really what I want. Second moto was actually better, and then I got kind of like cross-jumped and sort of fell and went backwards. So I think I was actually in like 4th before that. But, yeah, I just got to keep trying to work on that. I don't really know what I'm going to do to work on it. Maybe just ride with some guys back at Sandbox and do more sprint stuff rather than the motos.
Kellen Brower with Swap Moto again. Hayden, for you, there's been a lot of talk about everybody else and their silly season, but you're locked in for next year. It sounds like there's at least a chance you race 450s next year. At what point do you want to have this decision and your future kind of made, planned out already, when you want to make that decision, I guess?
Yeah, probably in the off season when I have some time to, do some testing on a 450 and figure out what the plan is. But yeah, as of now, 250 Supercross and outdoors is still up in the air. Winning these 250 titles is nice. So, if I feel good on the 450 preseason, then we'll run it.
Last chance. Oh, Mitch Kendra.
Hayden, we'll go with you this one. Obviously, the track was pretty deep. The first moto looked like there was lots of line all over the place. Did did those ruts kind of harden up for the second moto, or were they kind of changing, or was it kind of like everything that had been there for the first moto kind of set and kind of like the ruts were a little bit harder? How did the track, I guess, break down from the first moto to the second moto?
Yeah, 100%. The track definitely. I feel like second moto, I almost felt better on the track. Like I could ride it a little better. They actually kept up pretty well today. Besides those 450 boys, when it started raining, it looked pretty brutal out there. But they did a little track preps here and there, and it was pretty solid. So it was definitely technical, but I enjoyed it today because my bike setup was really good.
Great. Last call to ask our 250 podium. Great. Well, thank you, gentlemen, so much. We'll see you at the next round. Hayden Deegan, Tom Vial, Levi Kitchen. Hayden Deegan, of course, maintaining that red plate going into Southwick. And up next, we will hear from our 450 top three if you'll give us just a moment to get reset. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with our final presentation of this press conference. Jet Lawrence, Hunter Lawrence, and Eli Tomac, 450 top three. Well, congratulations, gentlemen. Jet Lawrence going 1-3 today. I just want to better understand from your perspective, kind of having to work your way forward in that second moto. So what was it taking of you through the conditions and everything you were faced with?
I think the biggest thing was trying to not make the mistake any bigger that I made on the start, and set myself further back. Eli and Hunter were pretty much gone. And I could see Eli up ahead. Sorry, not Eli, sorry. AP up ahead. I'm like, if I can just get to him, I think it'll be, the best I can do. And thankfully that was third place. And I had some really good lines that I felt like I was flowing well with and using the paddle tire in the sloppy areas. So was happy about that. And, I don't know what time we were at when they red flagged it, but thankfully we were in third so we could get it.
And question for the panel, all three of you, were there any last-minute changes that you had to make or your mechanics had to make before we dropped the gate? Any last-minute changes?
I made a goggle change. I was super in between tear-offs versus roll-offs, and then thankfully I put a roll-off on right before the gate drop.
Yeah, I was asking what the big black clouds were. When are they going to hit us? Are we scheduled for that? They were massive. So it was not just a sprinkle, and we weren't really sure. It was it should be in 30 to 40 minutes. So it was kind of all right, maybe, try and get up front early and maybe have the last 10, 15 minutes of wet conditions. But I think it was second lap. It already started coming down pretty good. So it was definitely interesting.
What about you, Jet? Any last-second changes for you or your mechanic?
No. I think we should have changed the roll-offs for sure.
Hard to predict, no doubt. We'll open it up to questions from the media.
Mitch Kendra, Racer X. Eli, obviously there's lots of things going on with the rain. The crowd is erupting because you're leading. What's going through your head in those early race laps there, second moto?
It was I just had 2 different days. It's crazy when you get out front how quiet the race is, and I've just been in the chaos and in war these past few motos. So it was honestly a strange feeling leading some laps early in the race. Of course I got the one at Hangtown, but this was a different feeling getting in the lead early. So it was just a breath of fresh air.
And could you hear the crowd cheering for you when you came around?
Oh yeah. That was good. Always good crowd here.
Taryn Robinson with MX Sports. And Hunter, congratulations, solid second overall today. You were in the mix with Jet, Eli, and some other hard chargers today throughout the race. What was the biggest difference between Moto 1 and Moto 2 from a racing perspective for you today?
Not really that much of a difference between motos, honestly. Not really a difference, honestly. There isn't anything crazy. I know my capabilities on a bike, and I just go back after first moto. All right, I know I could improve on my start. My start I didn't execute it great in the first moto, so that's first key to the race is to get off the gate, and just a few things where I feel like I could have, maybe been a little better earlier in the moto and stuff. But that obviously all goes out the window when you're on the start line and there's, big old raindrops coming down, and it changes the whole dynamic. It's like, all right, the first lap more or less wins the race at this point, given hindsight, how it turned out. So yeah, it's a completely different kind of approach, but nothing drastically changes between the motos.
Kellen Brower, Swap Moto Live. I'll go back to you, Hunter. You and Eli gapped the field in the second moto, and you kind of hung out in a shadow for a little bit. Obviously, they stopped the race early. Did you have kind of like a plan in mind of like trying to push late to try to get to him and maybe battle for the win that just didn't come to fruition?
Yeah, I felt like I was doing a pretty good job of keeping him honest and had him right there. And then, gonna sound like boy that cried wolf, but I think everyone had the same issue out there. It's not a matter of you forget how to ride the mud at a certain point in the moto. It's just your vision goes. You get down on tear-offs or roll-offs or whatever it is, and honestly, that probably is one of the biggest defining components of a mud race is your vision, honestly.
Michael Antonovich with Swap Moto, or with Core Setting, sorry. This will be for, that's been coming for a while, I know. This will be for Jet and then for Eli both, because you guys had such different starts to your second moto, and then as the rain comes down and it gets so heavy, when you go out for the sight lap and it's clear, but it's straight sheets of rain, and you see it gets so wet and so slick, and you know how hard packed this is here. Jet, for you, how do you manage coming through the pack knowing I have to make these moves now while not getting myself into a precarious position? And then for you, Eli, how do you want to go all out without putting yourself at jeopardy to make a mistake when it is as slick as it is?
You just had to be aware of where you can push. On the sighting lap, thankfully you knew where was rock hard and where had some little bit of fluff in certain areas where, it might be a little dry underneath there if you hit that. So it's just really using that sighting lap to your advantage and going, okay, picking up the small details, and then on obviously the first few laps, trying not to follow, because so much can go on and there's carnage going everywhere because people can just send it and slide out and take someone out. So when you start back there in mud especially, it's a little scary because you don't know what's going to happen. But it's just try not to follow and trying to catch up on those lines that no one else is on before, so you can get a couple passes through, and then once it's spread out, then you can kind of search for lines. But thankfully, I kind of found most of my lines straight away. So yeah.
You guys both. Go ahead, Eli.
Yeah, that's a tough race because starting out dry and then you're trying to anticipate like the feeling of the dirt and how slick it's going to get. Honestly, I was pretty nervous about the quad and stuff. It was hard to judge how slick is this ramp really going to be. So it's tough when the rain comes mid-moto because you just have to adapt. But when you have a mud race or the rain comes before, it's like it's going to be slick. But it's always a fine line of when the track officially goes.
Jason from Racer X. Eli, first moto, you had 2 burner laps, halfway through the moto. I think you had the fastest lap of the whole race. You did a 2:04 and a 2:05. What happened there, and then how come you weren't able to maintain that all the way through and maybe get to the podium?
So I think that was before I got to my teammate Justin.
Yep, it was.
And I just was in a really good spot of the race. I was in kind of open air, and I made a big run up to him, and then I just got kind of stuck behind him. Yeah. I got stuck behind him. I needed to make a move early, got stuck in his pace, and that was it. Unfortunately, I didn't make a move, in my opinion, early enough. That was it.
Real quick, for you, Hunter, some of the math for overall podiums hasn't worked out this year. Do you feel you're not quite where you were last year, or is it just the competition, the math, the overalls, or are there things these first 3 rounds until today you were searching for to get to this level?
Yeah, I feel like the first 3 rounds I was definitely searching. I feel like I'm probably where I am or was last year, if we want to use that as comparison. So yeah, I was really happy with the bike today. One of the coolest things was from press day, we made a shock change, and it was exactly what we thought it was supposed to do, what intentions we had on making the change for. It did exactly that, and that was awesome because you hit the nail on the head, so that was really cool. The team did a great job, and I'm looking forward to just getting more time under my belt, consistent laps and familiarity, and just keep riding with a scoop tire. It feels like we're going to be running it at Washougal this year. After the first moto, me and AP were like laughing about it, like some of the sections, and we're like, we almost need to have like a gentleman's agreement. It's either everyone's on it or no one's on it. And second moto, he comes down and he goes, "Don't worry about what rear tire I've got on." And he had a knobby tire on, and I was like, we'll see. But actually, the paddle worked really good in the mud, so it worked out again.
Trey Steyer, unaffiliated. My question is for Jet. It was kind of reminiscent of 2 years ago in the first moto here. You had a little bit of a tip over a couple years ago battling Ken Roxon, and then you had your stall and your bobble in the first moto. What was going through your head then, and did the flashbacks kind of come in to be able to stay patient and just pick off the riders and get back to the top spot?
Well, the first thing came in my head was that's not very ideal. And yeah, you just kind of, just like golf, once you swing and hit the ball and where the shot lands, you kind of, if it's good, it's great, but if it's bad, all right, how can I fix that, and the bike stalled, and all right, it's not ideal. We'll start the bike up again, see where we're at, then regroup from there on, and get back on the lines I was taking, and put a little bit of a charge on to see if I can get back to where I was, It's kind of, you don't really get too flustered about it, or, just kind of, all right, that's what happened, just move on to the next.
Ryder Yeckley, Racer X. This one's for Hunter. So in the second moto, obviously it started raining and it's starting to turn into a mud race, and everyone knows things change every second in a mud race. You're kind of in a tricky situation with Jet coming behind you and not being far off Eli. When the red flag came out, were you like, okay, I'm going to take the second, or are you pretty annoyed thinking, man, I could have really fought for the overall today?
No, I was really frustrated because just the same as everyone, no one had any idea when the race was going to get called. If it was going to get called, they gave us the halfway mark. I'm getting pretty close to the end of my tear-offs. There's water getting under them. We're getting deep into lap riders, and I'm like trying to think of how I'm going to, catch Eli or make this pass, does he make a mistake or something like that, and then I can, all right, get past and then throw my goggles and then just try and cover him in mud. Like that's honestly the thoughts that go through your head on a mud race, on like how to ride defensively or make something happen. But honestly, like that lap, I was planning to throw my goggles on pit lane, and as I come over, they had the red flag, and I was like, okay, that's makes me wish maybe I threw the goggles earlier. But again, you ride with no goggles and you get behind a 450, it's like, yeah, it's not a real good game plan.
Michael Antonovich again for Eli. We've talked so many times for you to be back at the outdoors. You did a couple last year, but to watch you ride Moto 1 and just hear the bike wound up and doing what you're doing, how nice is it to just get into the motion? And after so many injuries, where do you feel like you're at right now?
I feel like really good. I just have not been consistent with both my motos, so it's been tough that way. It's like I'm happy with the day, but also frustrated with the day. I've had this weird push and pull, but overall, yeah, it's been nice to be back.
Quick follow-up to you, Eli. Mitch from Racer X again. I think, were you adjusting your clutch a little bit when you were behind Justin in the first moto? I couldn't really tell. Look like you're kind of grabbing something at the bars.
I didn't have any issues, but yeah, that's kind of normal for that cable to be rolling it back. In my case, I was rolling it back. Yep.
And then just real quick, can you compare the first moto? And even earlier in the day, it felt like the track was so soft and so deep, and the ruts were kind of everywhere. And in the second moto, the sun kind of baked it in. The track was a little bit hard. And then you mentioned with the slickness, just, how do you deal with that? You kind of talk about the slickness, but even just the changing ruts, they're so soft earlier in the day, then you find good lines, and then they harden up. Like, what's that like adjusting to that, and then the rain on top of it?
Yeah, it's honestly a pretty nerve-wracking condition when that starts happening. So the good thing is everyone has to deal with it. That's about it. Like it's kind of to be expected at this track too, where there's gonna be ruts here and also a hard base.
Last call. Any further questions for our 450 top three? Excellent. Gentlemen, congratulations and thank you. We'll see you at the WIC 338 in 2 weeks. We'll hang on for just a quick photo. Again, Jet Lawrence, Hunter Lawrence, and Eli Tomac, your top 3. This has been round 4 of the Pro Motocross Championship and round 21 of the Super Motocross World Championship. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
One by yourself?